Number 3 of learning something great and building a cool application with FastAPI. And we shall be going deep and deeper as every day goes by. So today we shall be looking at user registration, whereby the client should be responsible for sending an email and a password to our API, and our API should be able to register them. Okay, but first of all, must be able to validate the information it has got from the client. After that, it should be able to check if that user already exists in our application. If they already exist, we return to them an error. Okay, so ideally, you'll find that the client will send, if I can name this correctly, the client. Okay, so at the basic level, the client sends to us, of course, the request. Okay, we have the request, like remember how I explained in sorry about the background noise. Sends a request, okay, and this request must have JSON, okay, a JSON string having the email, okay, and the password, okay, and then in return our server has to do validation and stuff like that. Okay, so let's go on and start implementing it. Okay, so the email and password, which is a JSON string, okay, to our API. Okay, this is a very high level skeleton of what should happen, and then return to them a response that things are okay. Okay, but here our API must be able to validate this information. Okay, so we are going to jump straight into our code and do it. But remember, yesterday we had an issue. Okay, we had an issue that troubled me, and our stream went uh, into excess time for long. Okay, and I had to end it. Someone is actually calling me, but I don't know where I've put my device. Okay, I have no idea. All right, I've seen it. Just a moment. All right, let's continue. So, what we need to do now is to resolve that, then implement user registration. Okay, so if you remember, yesterday we had an issue. Okay, I want to first of all comment out a few things and explain to you the solution. Okay, so I'll clear this. Okay, if I do a git status, you'll see that we still have a number one untracked files. Okay, so how essentially this is supposed to work is that I do a git add. Okay, I do a git add. After that, I do a commit. So that the commit message is this one here. Okay, set up docker compose pre-commit. If when I hit enter, okay, you see we get this error saying module not found, no module named backend. Okay, and that was happening in this test file. Okay, this test file here, backend.main.py. So after doing some research, I discovered that the solution is to actually tell this pre-config tool, okay, I mean not pre-config but pre-commit, okay, that our Python path is at this location, okay, so that it can find backend. Okay, and to do that you use this configuration. We say entry, okay, then you say bash. Bash is the tool, the bash program, okay, -c telling that run this string as a command. That's what -c says. Okay, so bash is the terminal program that we know about. Then -c saying run this string as a command. So it will expose the Python path, okay, to this period here means Python path to this current working directory where pre-commit is, okay, and where this pre-commit file is, backend also exists. Okay, so it will be added and it will be found. So if I try to do git commit again, okay, we get now another error. Okay, similar error. Okay, says your pre-commit configuration is unstaged. Okay, so you need to stage it. Okay, stage it again by saying git add, then I say commit. Okay, so you see now everything what passes. Okay, everything passes. Okay, so this was the fix. Okay, then when I read again, they said it is good to say language system because it will ensure that pre-commit uses the local Python environment. Okay, but before I do this, okay, I need to turn it off to show that it's going to fail. Okay, so I'll comment it. Okay, by the way, I shouldn't have commented out this one. Okay, so I will do again a git add. Okay, actually, maybe not do git add. I want to reset it. So git log one line. Okay, I'm going to undo that commit using git reset. Okay, minus soft paste. Okay, I've reset. Then I clear and I say git commit. First of all, git add. Okay, first stage. Okay, then I try to commit. I want to show you something. You see, it fails. Says module error, no module named FastAPI. Okay, in this. Okay, in this. So it's not finding FastAPI. And the solution they gave me was to say that language system. Okay, this configuration language system. What does it do? That it says the system allows us to use the local Python environment. Okay, which is base. Okay, but now I don't want it to be base anymore. I want to change it to this. Okay, to this .venv. Let me try to expand this so that you can see it better. To this .venv. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to deactivate this one by saying conda deactivate. So conda is a command that comes with Anaconda. So if you don't know what Anaconda is, don't worry. But it's simply a Python tool for data scientists. Okay, and can be used to create virtual environments. So I'll deactivate. Then I'll activate this one by saying source. Okay, .venv. Not that, but .venv. What's the spelling of this? I need to go into the right directory. I need to go to cd backend. Then I say source. Okay. .venv bin. Okay. Bin, then activate. Like that. Okay. So I've activated it. Then now I cannot do things like git add and so on and so forth. Okay. Then now we commit. Okay. So you see it passed. Okay. And I can do a git push. Okay. So I wanted to resolve that issue that we faced yesterday. Okay. So now let's continue with working on user registration. So with user registration, the first thing is to define the model. Okay. And today, whenever possible, I need to also use some AI. Okay. To help us. And if there are issues, we shall resolve them. Okay. So I want to put this as a screen so that I can mark the chart if possible. Okay. Let me just put this. Wow, it's not working anyway. Let's continue. So I will come to, I'll set by routers. Okay, in routers, I need maybe to create, maybe here in users. Okay, I need to create routes for users. Okay, so I will start by defining, okay, a function. Okay, it's going to be a path operation function. Okay, called register. Okay, and this function will take in, okay, we'll expect to get a user object and return a user. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, but then I need to define a router. So I'll say from FastAPI import router. I hope this is okay. Okay, then I'll say router. Okay, see AI is giving us, I create an instance of router. Okay, then I can come here and I say router dot, okay, post. This is going to be post request. Okay, and you see they're giving us suggestions. Okay, so I'm going to hit tab to do what, to accept what AI has given us, but change it. Okay, because the response will not be a string. Okay, and the tag can stay. Okay, the tag can stay. Okay, we can remove it for now. Okay, the tag can stay. So this will be /register. Okay, / like that. Okay, so I need to create the response model and the the output model. So I will go to my models. Okay. I hope everybody understands this. I'll go to my models, which is users.py, and then we shall create our models here. So the first model I want to create, just a moment, okay, will be the user model. I don't know if you can, if you remember from what we learned, guys, who remembers? Ideally, I'm supposed to create two models, okay? One for input and one for output. If any of you is watching this and you follow that live stream, okay, that should be expected, okay? Let me not disturb you because many of you may not have watched that, okay? So what I'll need two models, one which will be used for creating a user and one for sending information back in the response. So from Pydatic, okay, I'll import, okay, yeah, just giving what I want, but not field, okay. That's why it is good for you to have knowledge, so that even if AI gives you information, you know what to eliminate. So like for example, AI had given me field, okay, but I refused it because I know what I want. I only want base model and email str, okay, and we learned about what they do now. I'll tell you in a moment. So I'll create a Pydatic model. Not so they're telling me AI is suggesting user base, okay, but I'll simply call it let me call it user create, okay, for creating, okay, for creating a user. It's a base model and it will have an email, okay. Wow, email of type email str, okay. So email str will give us superpowers. So if I hover over it, it says create a new string object from the given object, blah 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 blah. But ideally, it will help us with things like email validation, okay. Then the password is a string. And all of these are required, okay? It's a must for you to give them to us. If I do something like equals to none, okay, equals to none, it means they are optional, okay? Otherwise, they are not. So this is mandatory. You must give us an email and you must give us a password, okay? Then after registering the user, okay, we need another model which will handle the user response, okay? I can call it maybe user in DB, okay? Or user read, something like that. Okay, that's a user in DB, okay? So DB to mean database, okay? And this would be also inherit from this model like that, okay? And it can have an ID, okay? Shall return the ID to the person and the email they created, okay? Yeah, but not the password, okay? So now you see that when we are creating, we shall need the email and password, but after we have created the user, we don't need the email. We also don't need the password. When we were working last time with, we had UIDs. Okay, you remember that? Let me just check the chat. Okay, I think everything's okay. Let's go on. So after this, so many distractions on the internet these days. Sorry for that background noise. Okay, let us continue. Okay, so after this, now I can come here. Okay, and import user create and user in DB. Okay, in fact, let me just call this user read just to make it user create, user read. Okay, can then name them anywhere, anyhow, and then we say from which mod, from models dot users import. Okay, is it models dot users? Yes, we want user. Why is it not identifying them? Okay, cannot be resolved from. Okay, so if I say from backend dot, guys, am I just tired? Okay, sometimes you get tired and even a very small thing, okay, disturbs you and you can't even like resolve it. So can you imagine what is disturbing you right now is an import. What they call is it brain fog, okay? And AI is just making it worse, okay? So let me just import from the beginning from backend, okay? From backend dot, we have now models, okay? Then dot users, okay? We need to import not user, but user create and user read, like that, okay? So now here I can now say the response model me will be equals to user, who can guess, user read, okay? And then the return type. That's the return type, okay? But now we need to specify the input. I don't know if you guys remember that. We need to specify the input as a function parameter right here, okay? And by the way, this is supposed to be at, right? At router. I hope I remember. But let me stop gambling. Let me check the documentation. First, I'm typing Flask instead of Fast API. Let's check the documentation, okay? If I go to tutorial guide and scroll, here, it should be here, and I say router, should be somewhere, okay? Let me just scroll to find it. Yeah, so it's at router, okay? I'm right, it's at router. So let's continue. So now here I can say the user input, maybe user in, will be of type user create, okay? We know this. So if you don't know what is going on, please watch my series where we learn FastAPI, okay? So, and then simply we shall return a user, okay? And a user instance. So ideally that user will be an instance of the user read, okay? Of the user read class, okay? I can put something static, okay? Let me remove this AI suggestion, okay? So shall put a user read instance, okay, with ID being 1 and email in user in dot in email, then we say return user, okay? Just like that, okay? So now we need to test this, okay? This is very basic. Make this clean. So ideally, we have an endpoint called register, okay, that expects a type of user create in the request, okay, and returns a type of user read. As simple as that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and since I can close this, okay, then go to main. Where's the main.py here, okay? And I can say app dot include router. Oh, excuse me guys, sorry about that. Looks like I have a cold or something. So I need to import the router. It will be from, wow, yeah, has helped me, but I need only users, okay? Then I say include users. Is this how they do it? Let me check the documentation. I don't want AI to overhallucinate for me. If I scroll, or maybe sometimes I can allow AI to hallucinate for me. Then if things fail, I check the documentation. So yeah, this users dot, I'll say users dot routers, okay? Users dot router, just be router, okay? And for now, we shall not put things like prefixes, just keep it clean, okay? So I'll save, okay? Come back here and run it. Say docker compose app. Meanwhile, let me check the chat to see if there's anything going on. Nice hair. Someone says they have nice hair. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Shitties Sha? Where are you from? Is that how your name is pronounced? Shitties Sha. My hair is actually very, very short. Thank you though. I appreciate. So let's now test it. Okay. So go to the browser and go to localhost / docs. Okay. Now you see we're only seeing hello. Okay. I'm not seeing the other one. Okay. What we have just included. Okay. There should be an issue. Okay. Why it's not appearing. Okay. Because this is supposed to appear. So maybe there's something wrong I've done. Okay. That's why they say the real learning comes when you're now building a project. Okay. So let's just investigate. Okay. Here it looks like I've made an instance of API. In main, I have an instance of FastAPI. Okay. App that include router is what I've just done. Okay. Okay. Then I have this default hello stuff. Okay. Then here in users, okay, if I go back up here, okay, and look for their definition. Okay. So you see here they created an API router. Okay. This has prefixes, responses, tags, router dot. Okay. So I wonder why mine, guys, I need help. I wonder why mine is not what? Showing up. If I, maybe, is it because it lacks a prefix? Okay. Is it a must to put a prefix? Let's put a prefix and we see. Is it an, say prefix equals to slash, let me say API / API. And I see / API save. Okay. Because I wonder why, because you see only hello, okay, is appearing. If I got this code here, okay, if I get this code and I copy it, okay, and I come here, okay, and I paste it here, okay, and simply change this to app.post, okay, and even remove this, okay, remove this, okay, I remove this, okay, I remove this, just make it basic, okay, and I do this, okay, and I come here and refresh. Still we don't see, okay. Isn't that weird that even this one is not appearing? This is getting interesting, okay. I want to copy this and paste it there and just call it hello2 and say slash items. I want to test to see what could be wrong. There we are. Nothing still that appears. So the question is, are we running the right application? Okay. That is what is coming to my mind. But if you look at the logs here, it shows something has been accessed. Or maybe I need to build the container afresh. Okay. Let me see, compose app. But this shouldn't be an issue. This is going to be a ride today. Okay. Now you're seeing, like I told you, when you're learning something, things can work very fast and very fine. But then all of a sudden, they stop working. Okay. So let me look at this in detail and I see, I want to try it out, execute, and so what is going to happen. Message flight booking app. Okay. Why is WhatsApp loading? I thought I killed WhatsApp. So I want to try to do something, okay? If I erase this, okay, because it's not picking up changes, will it work if I refresh? You see, we still have hello, okay? Which means it's not picking up the changes, okay? So let me cancel that because I want it to be able to watch, okay? It's not picking up changes. Let me try to build this again. Permission denied. Enter the password. If this is the solution, then I'll need to study how to improve this, okay? You see, now we get that a new error saying no module named backend. And it's coming from main.py, okay? So the same issue about the Python path. In fact, if I run this, you see it will not work, okay? So what I'm going to do is this, okay? I'm going to exit, okay? Maybe because I'm running from this, okay? I'm going to exit that and get out of this directory, okay? And then, oh, I used to look at that. Maybe even deactivate this virtual environment, okay? And activate ancestors, activate the one in backend slash venv slash bin slash activate, okay? That's the first thing I'm going to do. Then maybe give it another try. Docker compose, but I need to be in the backend, okay? I guess it is failing to see that folder because of where we are. Docker compose up. No module named, okay? Can we ask AI to see if it can resolve for us this issue? Because if you remember how I resolved the issue for pre-commit, okay? The Python path was not being seen, okay? So let me try to do that for this project. I'll kill this other one, okay? So clear, and I say I want to, let's ask AI, okay? Let me clean all this, okay? And tell it how to add current path to Python. Let us see if my question is good. It is so funny that now the issues I'm facing have even nothing to do with what? With building the actual feature, okay? It has to do with being able to find out the Python path and stuff like that. So crazy, okay? Look at what AI says, okay? And this, of course, this is not the correct way, okay? And I guess because probably I asked the question without context, okay? So this is what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to build the whole flow, okay, step by step, and then maybe debug it in another session, okay? After writing the whole code, which would be a terrible idea because I wouldn't want to waste a whole stream on just this. Because I'm wondering why would it not find out what this is? And yet yesterday we had it working and being able to find out all imports. Okay. So what if I said maybe from, okay, like this, if I said from routers, okay, import comma, what do we have here? Import bookings, okay, like this. Hopefully it works. Okay, let's try that. Let's build. Let me run that Docker compose app build. Okay, if it doesn't, then I'll first of all implement everything, then fix the compose issues in another session very early tomorrow. This is what actually building looks like. Okay, says import error, attempted relative import with no parent package. Exactly, and I was expecting this. Okay, so you just need to find out exposing this. Okay, the Python path in Docker. Okay, so yeah, I'll do this. Okay, I'll fix it. Let's go through the code. Okay, what is supposed to be implemented, and then we can debug later. So let me kill it and then go on to implementing. Okay, so ideally this shouldn't actually be there. Let me do Control Z to bring back the code we have, because the time is fast paint and we haven't done anything yet. So this is not supposed to be there. Okay, it's supposed to include the router like this. Okay, so let's now go inside here and start building, okay, the actual endpoint in users.py. Okay, so just to check the chat to make sure I'm not missing any message. Okay, and I also want to change something. Okay, I seeing here, I want this ID to be a UU ID. Okay, so how do they import it again? I want to check for Python UUID. So it's from this package called UUID. Okay, so it's what I'm going to import. Okay, I'll say import UUID. Okay, then I'll say the ID here is going to be UUID dot UUID. Is there UUID 4? Yeah, generate a random UUID. Let me see their documentation. I know UID4 exists, but how to import it? Okay, this is the one. UID4 is what I'm interested in. Okay, and actually, if you go to other documentation like now here, okay, from this Stack Overflow post of 16 years ago, and you open it, you'll see import UID.UID4. Okay, the same thing. Even here, import UID.UID4. So that's the same thing. But if I hover over this, it is saying call expression not allowed in type. Yeah, and that's correct. Okay, so this is what we want. UID dot UID, but ideally I think it should be like this. Okay, this is the actual type. Okay, not the other function. So after that, I will go back. I'll go to users.py and see what I can implement. So ideally in users.py we need two things. Okay, we need to do the following. Okay, we need, okay, to do things like this: verify that the user does not already exist. Okay, AI has helped me. After that, I need to save user in the database. Okay, those are the things I need to do, okay, for this case. So we're going to start implementing the functions for like saving the user in the database and stuff like that. Okay, so what I want to do right now Also, by the next thing has to be sending an email. Okay, need to send email. So what I'm going to do is to write functions to help us with these things. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to create a function. Okay, which is going to return to us a user. Okay, but this function will be called get underscore user. Well, AI is giving us a good suggestion. Okay, get user by email. Okay, and then we shall check that if the user, okay, if the user exists, then we shall raise, if you can type a raise, not a value error, but an HTTP exception. So I need to import HTTP exception from FastAPI like that. Then I say raise HTTP exception, okay, with a status. The status, this has to be lowercase, status. I'll use what AI is giving me, 400, okay. Like instead of saying user already exists, I'll say email already registered, like so, okay. So I hope this makes sense to you. But now we need to implement this function, okay, called get user by email, okay. So where I need to find, close this. I think here in CRUD, okay, in CRUD for users. I'll just copy this, come here, CRUD users, and say define a function get user by email, okay, which takes in the user's email, okay, ideally, but it should also take something extra, okay. What is AI doing? Too much hallucination. I want to erase everything, okay. Erase all this, okay. So it will get user by email, but also we need a session, and this session will be the database session. So I'll say comma, the type here will be session, okay, and we need to define what session is actually. Session will be got from SQL model, if you remember this, okay, from SQL model, import session, like that. And also we need a function called select. If you remember, we learned about it. Session and select, okay? So session for giving us the database session, and then select for actually fetching, okay? Then here we can say return, okay, session, okay, dot execute, okay, open and close brackets, okay, and then we pass select inside, okay. What are we going to select? We're going to select user, okay. So to import user, I'll say from backend, okay, AI has given us, this is what we need, from backend.models.user import user. Says import could not be resolved. See, you trust AI and then AI lets you down. Say select different interpreter, okay. Let me select an interpreter. Why is it not recognizing? Let me use probably this. Should be having what I have, but still it hasn't, okay. Let me just leave it for now, okay, and continue. We shall fix that later. So I'll say select, okay, the user, okay. We want to select the user dot, no, just be outside the bracket, dot where, okay. So you see what AI is giving us, where user.email equals to email, then dot fast. So I'll accept all this, okay, and this is correct. So as simple as that. Using session.execute, we select a user where user.email equals to this email we have passed in, and we get the fast record. So when I go back to routers, I can now import that, okay. I say from backend.crud, okay, dot users import get user by email, okay. So that's how we verify that the user does not already exist, okay. So maybe in CRUD, there's one more function that we need in CRUD, okay, for doing a CRUD operation in here, which I want to do also define right now. Let me just check the chat in case there is a question or something. Okay, so I'll come here and say define a function called create user. Okay, so remember in our router here, okay, we first get the user by email. If the user exists, we raise an HTTP exception. Otherwise, we save the user in the database, and we need a function for doing that. Okay, which so all functions that will be responsible for doing database operations will live in this directory called CRUD. Okay, so I'll say create underscore user. And look at AI. AI is going to make me code faster today. You see, I will autocomplete. Okay. So you see, autocompletion by AI is good, but again, you need knowledge to know how to edit it. Okay. So I'll say we need a session. Okay. We need a database session. Here we don't need the user. I'll simply say give us the email. Okay. We shall need the email. I'll say we shall need an email. Okay. Which is a string and password string. Okay. And AI helped us. Okay. But then we need to do two things. Okay, we here before we even add the user to the session, we need to do hashing. Okay, we need to do hashing. So we need to I want to go in another file. Okay, let me leave this here for now like this. Wow, I don't see that file. We need a file for security. Okay, I mean, I don't see a folder where to put it. I'm thinking about a folder where to put things concerning security. Maybe here in utils. Let me say, call it security.py. Then in security.py, I'm going to import a tool called passlib. Okay, from passlib.context, import crypt context. Okay, we shall be using it for hashing our passwords. Okay, then I'll say the password underscore context. Okay, and I use AI to autocomplete for me. Okay, and yeah, the scheme will be crypt, okay, and decrypted equals auto. And you remember we did this while studying. Okay, then I say hashed password. Okay, this is correct. I'll accept AI suggestion. Then I come here. I won't accept the comment, but I'll say return. Okay, pwd context.hash password. Okay, yeah, this is enough. This will work. Then also here we need a function for verifying the password. Yeah, what AI is giving me is correct, so I'll accept it. I'll also accept this one. So this is how AI helps you to autocomplete. So verify password will take in a plain password and a hash password. Both of them are strings and will return a boolean. Okay, meaning true if the password is good and correct, false if the password is wrong. So this pwd context that verify, verify function will return either true or false depending on whether the plain password matches the hashed password or not. Okay, so now with this done, I can now come back here in this file, okay, and use that the function, one of the functions. Okay, so I can say from backend dot utility utils dot security, okay, import get password hash. I hope that's the name we called it. No, it is hash password. So you see, you have to be very careful when you're dealing with AI. Let me just check the chat to make sure I'm not missing out on any question. You have to be very careful with AI, by the way. Otherwise, you can mess up your project. Okay, so before we create a user in a database, the first thing we do is to hash the password. So I'll say hashed. Okay, I'll say hashed password. Okay, I'll use AI's autocompletion equals to hash password using this function. Then we pass this password into that function here. Then after that, we can now create a user. Okay, and say user is equals to, I'll hit tab to accept what AI has given me. Okay, and we shall pass the email. Okay, to this user, pass the email, and we pass also the hashed password. Okay, like that. Then now we can say session.add user. Okay, then session.commit, then session.refresh, then return user. Okay, so you can watch the live stream where we studied about FastAPI and SQL databases, okay, to understand all this. Okay, ideally, this is how you're supposed to do it. Okay, with SQL, with the SQL model tool. Okay, you first of all add an instance to the session, then you commit it. Okay, so you're adding it, you're adding into this, adding it to the SQL model. Okay, then committing, saying we are ready to now save it. Okay, so before you commit, okay, committing is simply pushing the information to the database. Okay, and then yeah, you say session.refresh, then you now return that user who has been created. So this function create user can now be used here. Okay, we can now use it here. So I think now you see how all the things are coming up. Anybody have a question, please type it in the chat. How is it going, guys, so far? I hope I've not confused you. Okay, so now we can now import that function. Okay, I can say from, wow, no, this is the wrong thing. I say from backend dot it's supposed to be dot CRUD. Okay, yes, then dot users import create user. Okay, that's the one we need. Then I can come here, okay, and say user, and look at that, AI has given us good autocomplete. Okay, so I'll hit tab to get that. Okay, and say email equals to user.in blah blah blah. Okay, so the email will be user.in email, meaning user in is the what we get from the request. Okay, and password is what we get from still the request. So we pass the email and password. Okay, yeah, so and then we return the same user here. Okay, not bad, so far so good. Let me see the chat in case there's anything. Yeah, I'm starting to doubt if we shall do email verification today, because I wanted us to fix that bug, okay, that we are facing before we do the sending of the email. But we can even write that logic for sending an email, then we we debug at once. Okay, so let's work on what sending an email. Okay, so we shall need a function for course for sending an email. Okay, I will try, if I go to the documentation of FastAPI, I close this, I try to search email. Or I say sending email. Okay, I don't know if they have anything like that. Just Google. Okay, send an email using FastAPI. Like, you know, this is my first time doing this. Okay, so I guess you get to forgive me. So there are many resources. Okay, like there's this guy who wrote an article in 2021. Okay, okay, there are a bunch of stuff. Okay, but we can ask AI. Okay, to give us, let's try to ask AI, by the way. Okay, we're in the world of AI and AI can help us. Okay, I don't know how to use Copilot here. Okay, let me, how do you use, was it Command I? Aha, yes, Command I or Control I. Okay, so let's ask AI, okay, to do it. So I'm going to say add, okay, add logic call. Let me say after say in the function register, make a call, so okay, a call to another function, okay, called send email, okay, async. It's going to be an async email, okay, which takes a subject, recipient, and body, okay. Create this function in the utils directory and implement the email logic. Let's see what Copilot does. Interesting. So, okay. So in util, I'm not seeing any file. I don't know where it has implemented it. Okay. I only see this here. I say accept. It accept everything. It says from backend.util.email import, but it has not created that email in utils. Okay. And it's saying await, send email async, subject, recipient, body. It did not create everything. Okay. Maybe I guess because I did not prompt it well. But again, I wouldn't want to spend time into prompting. Have you discovered that sometimes when you spend time prompting, it could be almost the same time you use for writing your own code? Okay. Sometimes I think maybe AI can help us with more of debugging. Okay. And we shall try that. But let's fix what it has done. Okay. It has not done bad. So we shall start by implementing this function. Okay. Send email. Okay. Which has been imported from this. Okay. So we shall go and create this file, this module I mean here. I'll click and say email dot py, close that, and then start defining. I'll say create an async def function like that, okay, and to take in the subject, which is a string. It will also take the recipient, okay, the spelling of the recipient, which is also a string, and it will take the body. Okay, look at what they're doing. What's wrong with the AI? This is rubbish. So I'll leave that. Okay, then I'll need a tool. Okay, I need to import it. I'll say from email dot message. Okay, import email message. What else do I need? There's this thing called it from, again, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, I'll Google. Is it SMTP? Do we have to import it? Okay, it says IOSMTP cannot be resolved. Okay, so I need to add it. Let me Google it. Okay, so if we read, okay, and I expand this, they say an ASIC IO based SMTP server. Okay, and you of course you have to install it. Okay, and you have to, yeah, make use of it. This one I learned of. Okay, is it IOSMTP? Is it lib? Okay, there's also this one here. Okay, see how it works. Okay, in a similar way. Okay, so let us add them to the project. Okay, so I'll expand this a little bit, come to this other terminal and say uv add io. Come on, it's gonna copy that. Okay, and say add, hit enter. Okay, then there's a tool called, by the, we also need to import email validator. I'm not sure if I have it. Okay, for the project to work properly, let me say email validator PyPy. We also need that one. If I open here, okay, we need it. Okay, So let me add it just in case. I'll say uv add email validator. All right, so let's now finish this function. Okay, what do I need? I need to come here back and now fix this and say from IO. Why are they not showing it to me? IO SMTP lib import SMTP. And I think this is happening because this way I've failed to tell VS Code that use this virtual environment. Okay, where is it? This one here. Okay, I need to figure out how to do this. If I say add as Python project, will it work? It hasn't. Okay, but I'll try to figure it out. Okay, I'll try to figure it out later. Okay, so let me just look at this closely. If I go back and copy this so that I'll fix all this environment thing after and then show in the next video how I fixed it to avoid wasting time. Okay, so another package we need is, I forgot to tell you, is .env, because we're going to read the environment variables. Okay, so if I come to python.env, okay, you see, says .env reads key value pairs from a .env file and can set them as environment variables. Okay, so we're going to need it. Okay, so I'll copy it and go back and say uv add python.env like that. Okay, and I'll say from .env load.env. Okay, then I can come and simply call it because it's a function. Okay, execute it like that. Okay, but as of now, it will find nothing to load. Okay, it will find nothing to load. So I need to come into the root and create in our root, create a file called .env. Okay, and I need to add it to git ignore. Say .env, has it been ignored? Yes. Okay, so I'll close all these, close also this one. So the .env has to take a number of variables, okay, which are required for email to work. Okay, one of the things that is required is, like, for example, the mail port. Okay, the port you're going to use for sending emails. Okay, one is 587. Okay, if you don't know that, you can simply do Google search, right? Port 587, port 587 in email. Okay, and you'll find even AI telling you that port 587 is the standard and recommended port for sending emails. Okay, why? It is designed to be very secure and reliable. So port 587. Then we need, of course, AI is giving us suggestions, mail host, but what I'm going to use is called smtp.gmail.com. smtp.gmail.com. Okay, then after that, I will need something else, which is the password, mail underscore password. Okay, so I'll write the password here and I'll show you how to get that password. Then we shall also need the mail username, which is simply your email. Like if your name is called John, you just say john@gmail.com. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to get that password. Okay, next up, what we need, the email, something in email is it not email hosts, email server. Okay, but it's the same. Okay, it's going to be the same, smtp.gmail. Okay, what else? We have the port. Okay, we have the server. We also need the from. Okay, so I'll say mail underscore from underscore name. Okay. The name can also be your email. Okay. Like if your name is John, then it will be, let's say, John at gmail.com. Okay. So let me show you how to create that password. Okay. Shall go to an example Google account. Okay. And I'll search for something called app passwords. Okay. This, are you seeing this? You click on it. Wow, they didn't need me to enter my password. So I'm going to stop sharing. Then I type my password. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I have it. Let me just confirm that you can see the right screen. I've got it. So now you can create now an app name. Okay. For example, in this case, I can call it Fast API app. Okay. Then I say create. Okay. When you create, they'll give you that password. Okay. Then you copy it. Okay. And go to your .env. Okay. And paste it here. Okay. But of course, I know all of you are seeing this. So I'm going to change it. Okay. Again, and make an edit. So make sure you have all these values. Okay. Correct and set up. Okay. So let me go and edit it again. Okay. Just wanted to show you what to do. So yeah, I'm done typing that. Okay. So make sure you don't share your .env file. Okay. Be careful. Okay. Be careful. Don't share it. Okay. So let's now continue. I'll go back to utils email.py and let's finish typing this. Wow, I really feel exhausted. I'm starting to rethink when to create these live streams. Okay. I feel tired after a long day. Okay. And it's coming to 10 p.m. here. But let's continue. Okay. So I'll say message. Okay. Will be equals to email message. Okay. Which is this one. Then I'll come here and say message. Okay. Message from. Okay. So start with the from will be equals to. Okay. An F string. Okay. Then I can say I need to import OS. To use it, to say import os like this. Then I'll say os.get. Need to create these square brackets. I say os.get, okay, get env, okay, and what we want to get is the key we put, okay, which is the mail. So in your .env, I don't think we put this, okay. Make sure you have your mail from name, okay, a value for this, okay, which should be like an email, okay, as simple as that, okay. This should be okay, okay. Then we can have something like message to, okay. But this case should be in title case, okay. So from should be lowercase, only uppercase f, only uppercase 2, okay. The recipient will be this argument we get, okay. In fact, this one I should just say mail from like that to make it simple. Then this one will be the subject, equals to the subject, okay. Then I can say message that set content body, okay. Good suggestion from AI. What else do we need? I need now to make an SMTP object. I'll say SMTP. Actually, I should have maybe done this in a different stream, okay. It's feeling really exhausting at this point. So let me just try to finish up the write-up, then elsewhere we do some debugging. I say host name equals to os, okay, get env, okay, will be the host, okay. Then port will be get mail port, okay. Username like AI. I don't think we need username for now. We shall set it later, okay. I'll show you soon. You can say start. Is it start? Do I remember it start underscore TLS equals to true, okay. All right, then we can now say SMTP. Let me make this slightly smaller so you can see everything. SMTP, not login first, but SMTP dot connect first. After that, you can say, actually it's supposed to be await SMTP dot connect, then await SMTP dot start, okay, TLS, then await SMTP dot login, okay, and then we shall log in with the username, okay, and the password in our .env. So make sure all these variables, okay, with their correct values, like I showed you, are in your .env. So I will create a .env.example to explain to you this in detail, okay. So this one, I think I called it mail username, okay, like this, mail username and then mail password, okay. So ideally in your root, okay, let me create it now so that you see what I'm talking about. .env .example, okay. So for example, since we're going to use Gmail, okay, your username, if I come to .env.example, username should be equals to your email, your username, your Gmail, okay, username. So for example, like if it is that, if you call John and is john@gmail.com, it will be like this, okay. Your password, put the app password I just showed you, okay, a few minutes ago. It will be a random string, okay, like what AI had suggested, okay. Then for the host, don't forget the value should be smtp.gmail.com, okay, depending the mail port, okay, that one like I showed you. The from name, okay, can be something like that, okay. The mail server, like you see AI is suggesting to you, is that, okay? If you're using Gmail, okay? So if you're not using Gmail, you can change, okay? What else have I forgotten? I think this from, okay? We could change this, okay? We could put the from, I think this from name, we could put the from name, and then also we can have something called mail underscore from, okay? Equals to your email, okay? Similar to your username ideally, okay? Or it can be different depending on what you're doing, okay? So yeah, so make sure all these, everywhere you're seeing os.get, make sure they're in your env, okay? This one here, not env.example. I used a example to show you what to do. So the ideally should be in the .env, and I cannot show it to you anymore, okay? And so you say load.env, and it will be available for this application or this function to see it, okay? Then finally, you can say await, just below a case, smtp dot quit, like that, okay? So just be like that. So now after that, now we go back to the main.py, okay? To make use of this function, send email async. Not main, but just be users.py here, okay? So after we have created the user, now we can send an email, okay? Let me import it. Why is it not recognizing it? Because of await. So this has to be async def, okay? And async, what's this? What's AI doing? And remember how we studied it actually in my first ever live stream when I was studying Python. I mean, not Python, but FastAPI. We looked at async def in detail. So this will be await async, the subject, the recipient, etc. Okay. In fact, another way we could just do it is something like this. Okay. Input this on the next line. Okay. And simply say, copy this. Okay. Say subject equals to that. Then I remove this, put a comma. Okay. So this is the company name. Okay. Like you see here, it's called Airbound Ventures. This is the company name. Then the recipient, can just copy this also and replace that. Okay. Then the body will be this. Okay. Yeah. So that I feel like this looks cleaner. Rough will do the other formatting that we need. Okay. So if I'm to scroll and then try to re-explain this afresh. Anybody with a question? Yeah, so this is what it means to learn and build live in public, making mistakes, learning, and it's interesting. You might even start regretting, why did I decide to learn and build in public? Okay, so let us see, there's an error. Okay, if I hover, what does it say? Was not closed. Something was not closed. Okay, there's a comma missing here. Okay, all right. So what have I done today? Okay, of course, I began by fixing the issue with pre-commit that we had yesterday. Okay, but ideally, I created the router. Okay, then I created a path operation function called, a path operation decorator called register. Okay, whose response model is user read, and it's a pandatic model. Okay, and user create is also a pandatic model. So user read is to deal with the response, and user create is to deal with the data being given to us from the HTTP request. And we know that pandatic models will help us with validation, okay, extraction, filtering, etc. Okay, where these two models, they are up here. Okay, in the models users.py. Okay, user create has an email and a password. User read has an ID and an email. As simple as that. Then after that, what we do is we have a function get user by email. Okay, which gets a user by email from the database. Okay, This is something we need also to set up. Okay. I've just remembered, and time is fast spent. Okay. Then if a user is got, okay, we return an error, an exception saying that email already registered, okay, with a status of 400, meaning a bad request. Okay, actually we can, from FastAPI, we can import something I think called status, okay. Then here, instead of hard coding it, we simply say status dot bad request, this one, like that, okay. Then if in case the user doesn't exist, okay, then we create the user in the database, okay, and after that we send an email. So that's what those are the main things which we have done, okay. Verifying that the user does not already exist in the database, saving the user in the database, and sending an email. That's, I can call it the whole summary of what is happening, okay. But the database operation is still not complete. There's something else we need to do, okay. This stream is actually teaching me that I should have broken it down into small, okay. I should have had a stream for only dealing with creating the user in the database, and then another one for sending emails, okay. It already feels pretty exhausting at this point. So let us just finish that, and then yeah, we will continue in the next stream. So I need to set up let me see. I need to set up something. I had notes which I had taken note of, but I can't find them. All right, I've got them, okay. So let me see my folder structure. So in CRUD, okay, I'll close this. In CRUD, I just got a file called database.py, okay, to handle things like connecting to the database, giving us an engine, okay. Remember, when you're dealing with SQL model, you need that engine. So I'll say database.py, and if you're wondering where is the database coming from, it is going to come from Docker, okay. Remember, if I go to docker compose.yaml, okay, we have this DB, okay, which is a Postgres image, okay, and this is the environment. Your database URL equals to this. So we're going to connect to our database using this database URL, okay. But of course, when you're deploying it to production, you don't need to expose things like database URL and whatever. I'll show you how to change this. So we shall put this in the our .env, okay, and then reference the env file here, okay. But for now, let's leave it like this. But we're going to make use of this database URL in this file, okay. So for that to happen, I'll create a function, okay, called get underscore session, okay. What will this function do? Okay, this function will be responsible for creating a session, okay. Let me just make it empty because I need certain things, okay, for it to work. So I'll say from SQL model import session, okay. I'll need a function called create engine, okay, and then finally I'll need SQL model, okay. Then on a new line, okay, I want to remove, I don't want SQLite, okay. I need to fetch the database URL, okay, and it's going to be now environment variable via Docker because of this, okay. So this is the one we are looking for, this one here, and its value will be simply the string. So yeah, any questions? Let me see the chat. So I think you see the reality of learning to code. Pretty messy and not entirely direct like you would think. So after that, what I'm going to do is come and put a context like we learned when learning FastAPI. We say with session, okay, with session, okay, let me autocomplete. So this is what they give us, okay. But what I'm going to do is this, okay. I am going to, okay, let me just type line by line for you to understand, okay? With session is a function, okay? And I can give an alias to it called session, like that, okay? Then we yield, okay? Remember, we don't return, but we yield. We yield a session, okay? Then, but session has to take an engine, okay? An engine which will be created by this function called create engine. And the engine is then responsible for like giving us an instance of the database connection, okay? Something like that is what creates the database connection. Say engine equals to create engine. Looks like AI wants to help. Then I can pass database URL. I can tell it to echo, okay, to show us what is going on. Echo equals to true. So here with session, I can say engine, okay, passing the engine like that. And we are done, okay. Then we need another function to initialize our database. I mean, initialize like to create like the tables, okay, using the engine. So I'll come, actually AI is wise, it knows, yeah, most people call it initdb from what I was reading on GitHub. So yeah, this code is also looks correct. So SQL model, okay, dot metadata dot create all engine, okay. So it will create all SQL models, okay, which have been designed to be database tables, okay. So we need to create a model that we shall be using for entering information in the database, okay. If I go back to users.py, okay, and I go to this create user, okay, this one I think that we used is actually wrong, okay. It should be, if I when I said from models import.user import user, that failed, okay. And in fact, it's good it's showing a squiggly line, and you're going to know very soon. If I go to the FastAPI documentation, actually, FastAPI, and show you something. Go back and scroll. Where is SQL? Okay. And I scroll, you see, they use things like table equals to true, okay. And when they're defining an ID, they use field and put it and make it a primary key, okay. So make sure, we have to make sure, I mean, we do this kind of stuff, okay. So I'm going to go ahead, and of course, if you don't understand all this, make sure you watch the live stream where I walked through all this, okay, because it will be a lot to go through this, okay. So you see, create DB and tables, SQL model metadata.create all is what creates all the tables, okay. But it has to be, they have to be pandantic models, okay, with table equals to true. So SQL model is simply also a pandantic model, okay, if you remember what we learned in the live streams. And if you didn't know, yeah, now you know. So I'll go back to the code and go to models users.py and try to create a user object, okay. So I'll say class, okay, maybe say I'll call it maybe user, okay, user in DB, okay. And for this one, it will be just be an SQL model, okay. So I'll say, okay, I'm gonna say from SQL model to work, and for it, for SQL model to know that this is a it's going to be to represent, it's going to be mapped to a database. The table, we have to say table equals to true, okay. Usually when you're learning something for the first time, okay, it can be very challenging, okay, very challenging, especially when you're building your very first project, because you're trying to recall things, you're trying to validate what AI is giving you, okay. So user in DB, if I press tab, okay, I don't know what this means, okay. So they say UI type equals to field default factory equals UID primary equals to true. Okay. Email that index. I don't need an index. We're not going to be searching by users. Okay. I don't need an index. Okay. But password is okay. Maybe I'll call it hashed password. Okay. Default factory, because I don't know what default factory means. Okay. For now, I'll just leave primary key equals true. Okay. And yeah, in case of anything, we'll keep learning. Okay. Index on, maybe index on, let me leave index on email. Okay. So in case maybe there is like heavy reads, okay, by email, it will be good to index by the email, especially when we are searching by email. But default factory, I don't know what this means. It just, let me even Google it. Okay. Let me just throw it in Google and see. Default value. They say default factory is a common pattern used in Python, particularly with all validation libraries like Pydantic or data classes to automatically generate unique ID event files for new. Okay, so I guess it's going to generate automatically generate unique identifiers. I'll trust AI for now. Okay. All right. But these ones here, since this one is users.py handling user data, I feel like these ones probably should be in the schemas. Okay. These ones be in the schemas. Okay. So I'll remove this space. Okay, do this. Go to schemas. Where is schemas? Here. Okay. And paste that. Come back here. Copy this part because we need base model. Remove that and put them in schemas. So you see, yeah, the live streams really probably helped. Okay. So comma email str. What else is missing? We need this UID. Okay. So this can be in schemas. Okay. So let this one handle like types ideally. Then this one, models will handle things that are going to be associated, classes associated with the database. Okay. Database tables, classes which represent database tables in models.py. Types should be in schemas. That's how I want to organize it. So that means elsewhere we shall have some issues where we use them right here. Okay. This should be from, not from user, but dot schema, from backend dot schemas dot users. Okay. Import these two. So when we are creating a user, okay, we had a failing import. Okay. So this has to be from backend dot models dot user. For some reason it is still not being picked. Okay. So that is something I'll need to fix. Models dot users import user. User in DB. Okay. That's the one I'll use. Then here I'll say user in DB. Okay. And if I open this, you see simply email, password, and ID. And ID will be automatically generated. Okay. So if I go back to the FastAPI documentation, I think when we were learning FastAPI, they had something like that. If I go back to, wow, Next is particularly burnt out. So at least if I can get to type the main code, we can look at other things. Did they have something like user in DB, if I remember? Let me look for session dot add. Okay, they had this kind of stuff. So I think we're doing the same thing. We also added, we committed, and we refreshed. What was I looking for? I've lost my line of thought. They have something like a hashed. All right, let's move on. Looks like I've lost what I was thinking about. Okay, but this have table equals to true. Yeah, so ideally this is it. Okay, I just need now to change. Also, these ones here have to be user in DB. Okay, so I'll copy this one. This has to be user in DB, user in DB. Okay, so let me just do a quick recap. Okay, ideally, if you go to backend and you go to routers, okay, users.py, I created an endpoint for registering users. Okay, I even don't need this prefix for now. We shall do those things that maybe at the end. And it has a response model called user read. Okay, and user create for the input. These are defined in the schemas here. After that, I have a function called get user by email. Okay, if I go to its implementation, it simply uses SQL model, okay, to select, okay, the user by their email. Then after that, we go back to this other function, okay. So if a user exists, we raise an exception saying that that email is already registered. Otherwise, we create that user, okay. So this function called create user is also here in this function users.py under CRUD, okay, CRUD operation. So we first hash the password using this function called hash password using crypt context, okay. We hash the password. After hashing, we return it, okay. Then we use this user in DB, which is a model, which is an SQL model, and saying table equals to true tells SQL model that this is going to be to represent a table in a database, okay. And it has a number of fields like I discussed. After that, we populate the email and the hashed password, add this instance to the session, commit, refresh, and then return the user. Okay, as simple as that. And the value is got here. Then after that, we send an email, okay, saying welcome to Airbound Ventures. We send to the recipient, okay. And then we have send email here, okay. So ideally, this is all the logic, and theoretically it should work, okay. But like I showed you, and like this is my first time building a FastAPI project. Yeah, and I'm learning live with you. What else? We created a .env, this one, but I'll not show you because it has a secret there. I don't want again to go and delete and recreate it. Okay, you can go ahead and yes, and create one of your own using these same credentials, and I showed you how to create a mail password, okay, on Gmail. An app password rather. It's called an app password. So you can go, if you're just joining right now, you can go back in time and try to find it. Okay. Yeah, so basically that's it. Yeah, but then there's an issue that we have, okay, that I'm facing when we are running Docker, okay, that this backend directory is not being recognized. Okay, so certain imports are not working. Okay, like when you say from backend .crude.users import, this is not being added to the Python path. Okay, and that is something I need to figure out how to do. Okay, so I guess I can do it offline and explain to you just like I did for pre-commit. Okay, I see this stream has taken some time and I am basically worn out. Here it says 95 minutes. So yeah, I'll try to debug it offline, and then before we continue with the next implementation, I show you the solution. For those who don't know, if I clear my terminal, okay, and I say docker compose app, like remember I said it was actually working fine, okay, we get that issue, okay, saying attempted relative import with no known package. Okay, and that is happening in the main.py here. Okay, and if I try to I think I removed it. This is because it's not. Where is it showing? This is main.py line 2. Okay, this is an old build, but if I rebuild it, okay, if I rebuild it quickly, you'll see the error I was talking about. Okay, so let me rebuild. So I show you what is the issue is and what I want to debug offline. Wow, this is really tiring. Okay. See, it says module not found error, no module named backend. Okay, this one. Okay, and I'm guessing probably that could have changed, probably because of what I did in the pre-commit. Is that the issue? Okay, setting the Python path, maybe. Okay, let me comment it out. Okay, let me comment it out just as a quick guess. Okay, build. Yeah, so I'm going to try to resolve it after, and then tomorrow before we implement the next feature, I explain it to you, the solution. Why is it taking longer this time? So meaning that issue was maybe real. Oh, look at me. I was getting ready to blame this. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's meet tomorrow and let's discuss this in detail. I'll show you what is wrong. So I think you say the line is complaining about from backend the routers import users, which is like I've shown you this. Okay, from backend the routers import users. So ideally, this directory backend is not being added to the Python path. Okay, why? I don't know, and I need to research about it tomorrow. Okay, and then when I research and I have a fix before we implement the next thing, which should be GWT authentication, I'll show you everything. Okay, so I don't know if anybody has a question before I end the stream. Please, this is the time for you to ask that question. I hope this has benefited you as much as it has to me. Okay, having to deal with all this and think through them. Okay, I've learned something. For the next stream, I need to write more notes. Okay, I wrote short notes here, but they're not helping me. I had to think really hard, and even sometimes when we would follow AI was not giving us. It wasn't giving me exactly what I wanted. Okay, but at least we have this setup. We have this also set up. Okay, we have this. Okay, and many of these things can actually be reused. So yeah, let's meet in the next stream. Okay, since I see no one asking a question. Bye for now. So in the next stream, like I've said, I'll start by explaining to you the fix of this, and then we can continue from there.